So, I know what you're thinking. I may not be the most mature, nor the most experienced person in this room. I somewhat agree with that. However, I'd like to talk about a topic which no one should shy away from. And before starting my talk, I want each and every one of you, for 10 seconds, to close your eyes and think of something or someone that you love, however that you've lost. It could be the death of someone, the loss of a precious object, a breakup, or a divorce. So take your time. What is that experience? What are you feeling? I can say it's most probably grief. What is grief? If anything, it's natural for us humans. It's the process of when many emotions are overcome when you lose someone that you love. It's what I like to call an emotional smoothie. I can say it's not the tastiest of smoothies, because grief contains emotions such as sadness, guilt, anger, which they're inevitable. All these emotions are inevitable, and has 5 different stages to the process, which go somewhat like this. Denial. This can't be happening to me. Anger. Why is this happening to me? Bargaining. I'll do anything to make this stop. Depression. I'm helpless. And acceptance. I'm at peace. If you think about it, these events occur every day, every second we breathe. You never know. God might want you next. So being 18 years old, I'm very lucky in the position that I am today. And grief has certainly helped me become who I am. 7th of February 2021 was a big turning point in my life, and a day I'll probably never forget. So I'm going to share a personal story with you, because you all look trustworthy. So, yeah. So, at the time we had to get home at like 6 because of quarantine rules, so that was not great. But I thought a fun way to pass the time was to watch some football. And all of a sudden, I hear this scream from my mother. And at the start, it was quite funny, because I'd never hear a scream like that. However, when I went to see and opened the front door, I saw my mother holding my grandmother in her arms while she was falling down a flight of stairs. It was tragic. And ironically later, I was screaming and asking for help, waking up my dad who was sleeping, and by then it was too late. I couldn't sleep that night, and I was fazed when I saw other people dealing with grief would use substances such as Xanax. Fun fact, the use of substances such as drugs, alcohol, cigarettes, any of that can take a toll on your mental health and can lead to complications such as addiction, anxiety, depression, and physical and mental health problems. Back to my story. So, it'd been 2 days since my grandmother passed away. I had no human connection whatsoever. And so, people were coming in my house, or our house, but beg your pardon, and there were people from the organizers for the funeral, from my mother's and my grandmother's friends to pay the tributes, and I got a bit sick of it all. I just wanted to be left alone, completely isolated from humanity. And the day before the funeral, the doorbell rang one last time. And to my surprise, 2 of my closest friends came up, and that made a difference. Because having someone to talk to in times of grief, you could never be grateful for a friend, ever, in times like these. Because even though they don't know what you're going through emotionally, having their warmth and their support and the fact that you know that they made the trip just to see you how you're coping, just makes things so reassuring. We all have emotions, we all cry, we all have cried. So, express your feelings by either talking about it, or if words aren't possible in the moment, be creative about it. Write about it, paint about it, or do what I did. I basically repeatedly listened to the same song, Fix You by Coldplay, and that actually made a difference. Because music is actually a really good cure for overcoming grief, especially with sad songs. Because sad songs with grief, for example, Let It Be from the Beatles, you can actually feel that you're not the only one feeling these feelings, and that you're truly not alone in life. And music helps us discover these emotions, accept them. I can give you various number of songs dealing with grief and sadness if you want to meet me backstage. So, grief, I think people see it as a curse. It's as if the world wants to see you fall into a deep, endless hole with no light. However, I read something in the Bible where Jesus said, "Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted." What does he mean by that? He wants his followers, or us, to understand that those who experience grief and those who grieve, they're not hopeless, and if anything, it opens a door of light, of wisdom, maturity, growth, and a perspective of what life really means. A wise man once said, "The best cure to grief is to grieve." So I suggest you can all grieve all as you want. Many people have not experienced grief. Some have, and haven't even processed the emotion yet. Don't mask your emotions, because it just extends the grieving process. And again, this can lead to complications, such as addiction, depression. So don't mask away from your emotions. Be free, be vulnerable, cry. And talk to someone. And if they say the best way to deal with grief is to move on, or the best way to overcome is to move on, they're wrong. Or they're just not phrasing it right. I'd say the best way to deal with grief is to move forward with it. And to be honest, grief it's not really considered as an obstacle. I'd say it's more of its life. Because with grief and death, there's life. So, grief is part of life, if you think about it really clearly. A wise man once said, "Grief is a tunnel that one has to walk through in order to see the light." So, don't take your loved ones for granted. That's what I learned from grief. Don't take life for granted. I won't take today for granted. Thank you.